Hello everyone, how's the sound? Hello Sanguinary Guard, my moderator of Doom. Welcome to the chat. Hello Charles from the colonies. Brett, Andy, Paul, Ozzy, Gregory, Harrison, Weeb, and Reach for the Sky. Sounds good. Thank you, Sanguinary Guard. Good to be in his house. For Warhammer 40k Light, will you wonder what the topic is? I found myself with a window, Gregory Harrison. I found myself with a window. So here we are chatting away. And also, next week's going to be a bit rammed. Not the wisest thing to go online at the same time as Chapter Master, I forget his name, that guy. But, he's a popular kitten. He knows all the things. He's in touch with Alfaria. So this is a public service announcement. Chapter Master of Arak is on at the same time if you want to jump over there. But next week, busy on Monday, hospital thing. Chewie's come around Tuesday. Salt on Wednesday night. Going around a mate's house on Thursday. Great night SEOs. So I don't know if I will be able to get online next week. And I thought, Spam Rack, yeah, him. I thought that I'll come on now because the one of my goals now is to touch you guys more often. Farak's on live. See ya. Thank you, Wolf Bill. Yeah, Farak is live. Go over there. Find out about all the 10th edition stuff. But yeah, I like getting in contact with you guys. It's nice to touch base with my community and see what's going on. So there is no title to this stream other than Warhammer 40k live stream. I did temporarily write out, touching base or touching cloth or something about 10th edition. But then I decided not to. Beer. And we have our first new member. Scalar Productions, welcome to the 13th. Tier 3, which will unlock loads of extra videos for you. Yes, indeed. If you want to support me, then become a Tier 1 channel member. Unlocks all the badges and things. Tier 2 opens up my Discord. Tier 3, you get all the extra videos, like the Horus Heresy video that went up today with Simply Warhammer. Simply Warhammer Andy is a lovely fella. And I actually got to play yesterday with Command Battle Win, a new and upcoming YouTube channel. Only a few hundred subscribers. They're new to the hobby and new to the YouTube, and so Command Battle Win are showing their whole process from word go all the way up, which is very exciting. 70 people in the chat. I'm going to burp on and off because of the beer. I think I had too much steak and chips today. And I think I had too much. Well, she gave me half her steak, and then the chips, and then I had the chip butty, which you piled up, and then the dripping all the butter and things. And I'm really rather full. Yeah. So you're painting a tree beer today, Matt MMMP. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Hi all. Hi Dagda. Welcome to the chat. Steak and chips, never too much. You'd say that. But the steak is, it's cheap as the steak. It wasn't very good. And the chips, she likes those thin, crispy French fry type chips with which is nice. They're okay, but I like my chips to have some chips in my chips, But yeah, you should think about starting your fashion line. Or maybe make Winter's Scent brand. I am rocking some Winter's merch today. So you can buy Winter's SEO merch, including the mugs. So, what? Battle Report. Yeah, there was a Battle Report up today for members. Horus Heresy Battle Report. Emperor's Children versus Emperor's Children on Istvan 3. It was lovely. I got another one cocked, locked and ready to rock, which will come out on Tuesday for members. And then there's a thing on, because YouTube gets a free one normally every other Sunday. So normally, unless big things happen, like Horus Heresy releases and what was it? 10th edition stuff. 10th edition coming around, I imagine you're looking June, probably June the 23rd is my best guess, but it might be earlier than that. And then it'll mess with the release schedule the next. From May, things will move around a little bit because 10th edition, and that it should start. I should start building the hype, really. And you never know when Games Workshop might actually send it through to lonely desperate content creators such as myself who are, well, not lonely, but desperate to get their hands on the new things like everyone else and give it a go. So how are we doing? Are we hyped for 10th edition, people? What have you been doing today? I think I showed this, but I did finish off Sol Tarvitz. He's done. And I've been working on Palatine Blades today. So, will that focus? Focus. Happens if I hide my face. Focus. See, when Sultan held it up, it focused straight away. I hold it up and the camera says, God damn it. Oh, there we go. Palatine Blades from Forge World. They're like the elite of the elite of the Emperor's Children. Got 10 of them to smash out and doing other things like more of these guys will be coming. That's the standard bearer guy. Turns them into line troops. I've got an apothecary to go with the sanguinary guard. This is sanguinary guard in progress, with some base colours on. And then I made a video. Anyway, where are we? Morning from New Zealand. Flow in. Wow. Who'd win in a fight? A duck-sized Angron or a horse-sized squat? Horse-sized squat. 10th so soon. When did that last codex come out? I know, right? But when 10th launches in June, all the data sheets and all the rules will be free, so people can start playing it straight away. Michael Murphy, thank you for becoming a mega member. You don't have to become a mega member, only if you're rich and have brandy and servitors that run around after you, things like that. Thank you so much for becoming a mega member. Weeb has done some Drakari. Hey, where do you play most, as where is your local club? What, me? You can ask the chat, but me, I play here. There are 2 clubs in Swindon. I suppose you shouldn't talk badly of your local gaming clubs, but I've been to both of them once. Never again. It was some time ago, though. They might be much better now. Huss has bought a mug. Whee! And Marius Gage, thank you for the first donation of the evening. I appreciate it. Winters, they're crucifying titans along the ultimate wall. Oh my God. What a great book. Have you done it yet, Marius? They're crucifying titans along the ultimate wall. What a line. If there is a line that sums up the enormity of the Horus Heresy, then that is the line. The enormity of the Siege of Terror. The Dagda, the EC battle report is brilliant. Thank you. Sanguinary God, I've been excited for 10th for a while, but now they've announced it. The fear of what could go wrong has creeped in. Exactly, because Games Workshop will fuck something up, right? It is Games Workshop. Something will go wrong with the 10th edition launch, or they will... Well, something went wrong with the Farsight launch. The new model of things, Sultan did the video yesterday, which is up on YouTube, and they sold out of all of the Farsight boxes within 10 minutes, so that'll happen. And then the rules. What are they going to do with the rules? What are they going to do with the missions? How are they going to screw it up this time? From what I hear, everything about 10th seems to be moving in the positive direction, seems to be moving in a better direction. And I don't think you need to add complexity to the rules to make a really strategic game. Look at chess. Very basic rules. And also, if you want to add complexity, you can add it on, I've said it before, but you can add it at the mission level. You can add it with missions. Match play, competitive play missions or something. Currently building 5 intercessors for April Hobby Apocalypse. Nice. Going with Imperial Fists to try some yellow. Yeah. Imperial Fists. Nice. Rogodorn, Dan Abnett's favourite Primarch, so can't go long. So yeah, it sounds like when it comes to 10th edition, that Games Workshop... Here's the thing. The rules and all the index cards, all the data sheets free online from day one so everyone can start playing. That is epic. Luton did a really good video on 10th edition, which I recommend everyone go and check out. From the point of view who's someone who isn't in the hobby from a gaming point of view yet. Because let's face it, all of us who are gamers, we're already here. but there are millions and millions and millions of potential customers who paint and read books and do this and do that, and some of them want to play as well, but the hobby is impenetrable to them right now, particularly if they're trying to play AdMech or Genestealer cult or anything with a pulse, really. It's really tricky for new people to get in, and you want as many new people in as possible, because then that's better for the whole community. If you were the only one in the entire Warhammer 40k community playing the game, then you'd have no person to play against. So we need more people in this community to play with each other. Does that sound okay? Yes, we need more people playing with each other in this community. So I'm definitely open for more accessible rules and things, and easier ways to play, but it doesn't mean competitive play needs to be simple. Like in 8th edition, before they came up with all this GT Grand Tournament crap, the competitive scene looked after themselves anyway. They played Maelstrom of War with the Eternal War rules. They played 2 missions at the same time. That's what the ICTC and TSP, and that's what they did. It's because I remember going to an SM Battle Reports event, not the Legends event, but another one, and playing, and that was ITC or ETC or something, and you played Eternal War, so you played a primary mission, and then you played Maelstrom of War. You played secondary objectives using the Maelstrom of War deck, and I wonder where 9th edition Games Workshop got its ideas from. Anyway, that's what you did. So if and the tournament scene has been doing that forever. If the tournament players want to add complexity, they can. The problem isn't adding complexity. The problem is making the edition as accessible as perfect. So with that going, I can't really read you. I've only painted, but the last 2 weeks I've done learn to play sessions. Yeah, it's insane how many books I need. Yeah, the new app sounds exciting for people who like apps. Me, I'm more of I'll print it all out and get it on pages in front of me kind of guy. Going to be painting Dark Angels. I was going to paint Orcs, but I couldn't find my knob. Ha ha ha. Which edition do you enjoy the most? Which edition do you enjoy? 5th edition and 8th edition. Can't really. Like 5th edition was out before. There was only one Force Org, one HQ, 2 troops, and then the others. There weren't any flyers then. There were not any super heavies then. It was simpler time. Yeah, 5th edition was a simple, good. It was good. Yeah, back in the day before they decided to simplify everything with 8th edition, and before they decided to break everything and bring along 9th edition. But yeah, 8th edition was very simple and easy to play, and you could come up with all sorts of scenarios, and it had Maelstrom of War. You know, the one with all the cards. That Maelstrom of War. So that was really fun to play. And 5th edition, I think that's the one where I did the most amount of tournaments and things. 4th and 5th edition. And I loved 5th. 5th was good. Wee man, how you doing, Winters? You okay? Yeah, I've got beer. How do you want 10th to change AdMech? How do I want 10th? I want to be able to play AdMech again, Niall. I want to play AdMech again. I've barely touched them. Because here's your data sheet. And then here's your AdMech faction specific stuff that you need to learn. So you've got the main rules, then you've got your data sheets, right? And then there's a number of rules that aren't in the main rules or aren't on your data sheets. One of them is, what does your faction do? And within your faction thing, there could be sub-faction rules. Then other rules that aren't on your data sheets are, what are they called? Doctrina imperatives. And then you have the other ones. So you have these turn-based things that happen every single turn. And like the Skitari ones can be positive and negative, like increased movement, reduced armor save in the same turn. At the same time that the other ones are going on. And these ones only affect Skitari units. And these ones only affect cult mech units. Those rules aren't on your data sheets. And then you've got your data sheets, and then you've got all the faction stuff. And then within AdMech, you've got like Skitarii Rangers, which are sending orders down through the Ranger pipeline. And with Vox stuff or not, I can barely explain it because there's so many. Someone did a Venn diagram once and stuck it up on the Instagram with how to read the AdMech codex, and it was a bunch of overlapping squares and circles about how this particular character can affect that particular character, depending on which situations and which turn it is and how this one might affect. It's just the layers of complexity in the AdMech codex is just crazy. And the other thing is the balanced data slate thing coming out every 3 months, bringing in things that weren't there before and then taking them away again 6 months later. So just as you're getting your head around, okay, the new way of playing things, and I play a lot and I'm just getting my head around it, then the data sheet comes along and takes it all away again. So it all gets, it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes. So I'd just like to be able to, I remember the days when you'd pack your army with your codex, go around your mate's house, say, all right, how's it going? All right, do you want a cup of tea? Yeah. And you used to have a cup of tea and things, and then you set up a table, you write a list and you play. Oh, the good old days. You can't really do that now if you want to play competitive play, because then you're going to need to figure out all your secondaries first and how stuff interacts with what to bring the right stuff. You can do it with open play a bit, but even then the codexes are a problem, because you won't, even in open play, you won't have secondaries, and how am I going to score my secondaries, and how am I going to get behind enemy lines, or how am I going to raise the banner over there. You won't have to worry about those sorts of things, but you still have to worry about, hey, I've brought this unit and this unit, and I've just smashed my list together, let's have fun, and you realise that unit has no interaction with the rest of your army, and you've paid loads of points for it. There's some really obscure things in the Cult Mech Codex, which makes me sad. Where are we? I think that 9th edition kind of dulled down everything that made orcs fun on the tabletop. Yes, the Drimnor. Completely agree with you. The 3 factions that I basically see, I'm in a really lucky place. Most people out there can't really turn around and say, well, I'm going to stop playing those armies. I'll just play with these other armies. But there's 3 armies that you've barely seen on the channel, which I know you haven't seen on the channel, and one is Custodes, and one is AdMech, and one is Orcs. I just stopped playing them. Still play a bit of Grey Knights every now and then, still played a bit of Deathwatch every now and then, which sounds a bit ironic, because Deathwatch Marines are really complicated, the codexes, but I built a specific kind of list for them and don't have very many points for them. So the list does a thing, or functions in a certain way, whereas AdMech, Custodes and Orcs, I have a collection. So, and not lists. D123, welcome to 13th, tier 3. That unlocks all the wonderful extra videos for you. One went up today, Horus Heresy, Emperor's Children and Emperor's Children. There's another one coming out on Tuesday for members as well. Where are we? Murphy's not here this edition. Yeah. I'm afraid Murphy isn't with us today. Not throughout 9th edition. Well done. Yeah, he isn't. Because where's the fun? Orcs Codex used to be fun. I want stuff in my Orcs Codex that hurts me. I want to teleport my guy with a shock attack gun across the battlefield. That doesn't happen. Or more importantly, I want an Orc Codex that allows... all the old stuff. There's a couple of codexes which are definitely Codex 9th edition, which were written with 9th edition in mind. So if you brought lists that were comparable to early editions, they weren't really feasible anymore. It didn't really show up in Space Marines, for example. You could still play some good Firstborn lists. Obviously, all the really good stuff was in the Primarch stuff, but you could still play some good Firstborn lists. Another one, Necrons as well, wasn't really Codex 9th edition. You could still play. But the one where it really stood out for me, and having got a dozen or so armies, it was very noticeable that the Orc Codex is leaning heavily towards the new stuff, the buggies, the squigs, the riders. And if you brought along, it's very, very Codex creep, the Orcs one. Very Codex Creeps, very disappointing. And I didn't want to rush out and get loads and loads of Orcs because, wow, what is it good for? There's two types of WoW now. There's the speed WoW and the other WoW. And the speed WoW is better than the other WoW, obviously, because 9th edition. It should just be WoW. When a guy says, when an orc screams WoW at the top of his lungs and all the other orcs are screaming WoW, it doesn't mean that these guys over here are doing something different to these guys over here. No, the orcs are going WoW. That layer of complexity really pissed me off, actually, so stop playing orcs. Didn't feel very orcs. Will you be kicking out Zone Mortalis games when Siege of Cthonia is unleashed into the Wild Winters? Yeah, the first Horus Heresy update narrative campaign, Siege of Cthonia, is coming out. I'm very much looking forward to it. The problem is I'm not that far with my Horus Heresy collection yet. Got over 3,500 points of AdMech, got about 2,500 points of Sons of Horus, got a 3,000 points of Emperor's Children, and that's it. The other stuff is away being painted by Den of Imagination Painting Studios. I've actually got another box downstairs, which I'm going to ship off to them tomorrow to add to the pile. And one of the reasons why it's been so long in coming isn't because I'm that slow. I'm not that slow. I painted up 3,500 points worth of Emperor's Children and added 1,000 points to my AdMech. It's because Games Workshop release schedule has stopped me, and I'm sure many of you out there from buying, who are really interested in getting to Heresy, stopped you buying some Heresy stuff because you can't get the things that you want to get. There are a certain number of people who have said that to me. So I wonder if the Siege of Cthonia, I think it's a really good idea, but I wonder how successful the Siege of Cthonia will be. This whole narrative campaign with different missions and Zone Mortalis, and it sounds exciting. It sounds exactly what Crusade books should have been for 40k. And I'm very interested in seeing how the series develops and getting more and more and more of these narrative books. But, yeah, I wonder if I'd have had the things that I could get that I wanted and needed, if I'd be more excited about it if I had the things that I wanted to do. But I don't have all the things that I wanted to do, partly because of the slow release schedule, and partly because, well, mainly because of the slow release schedule. But I will be getting the Siege of Cthonia, and we'll see how that gets on. Ed Llewellyn, welcome to the 13th Tier 3. I think I just spat on my microphone. And thank you. Welcome to the, yes, thank you for becoming a Tier 3 channel member. That unlocks all the extra videos for you and things. So, Charles and the Colonies have just finished the 13th story time. He says it was masterful. Thank you, Charles. Check it out. I did do a video, and it's all my story times all in one hit. I did it more for me because I do like listening to them as well every now and then. And it's all the stories of the 13th in one long 3 hour, 2.5 hours. It's one long thing, rather than you listen to one and then you have to go further down the playlist, listen to another, go further down the playlist. Exactly. So I prefer having it in one long hit while I'm painting away. When is SEO? I'm glad to catch the live stream. Appreciate your work. Thank you, Arnhem. Thanks, Witters. Very excited to check out the video. Yeah, cool. Where are we? Definitely no slow. I've only assembled 2 Horus Heresy armies-ish. Very little in the way of paint. My Spartan is still in the Age of Darkness box. Lol. Exactly. So, getting it all together in time for the Siege of Cthonia campaign. If it's anything like the old Forged Library books, the Imperial Armor books, then it is going to be a must-buy. The Imperial Armor books, Siege of Rax, the Talan campaign, the one with I forget all the names, my brain this evening, but they were fantastic, the old Imperial Armor books. And since Alan Bly passed away, we haven't had any. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. Because the narrative inside those old Imperial Armor books is and it's some of the best that Games Workshop ever did. And so I'm hoping Siege of Cthonia has the same sort of meat on the bones. What about Horus Heresy? Some kind of biscuit? Yeah, exactly. This is my first time trying to pre-order something from Games Workshop. Do the new boxes normally sell out in the first seconds? Not normally. It is unusual for Games Workshop to sell out all their stuff in the first few seconds. But the Farsight stuff did sell out in the first few seconds, which tells you just how bad Games Workshop are at... It's just like they want to drive people to scalpers. When the boxes are not as successful as they want them to be, they're sat on piles and piles of them forever. But they could recall all those boxes. They should have something like the Black Templars box sat there for a long time. Surely they could have recalled a chunk of them and then broke them into sprues and sold them individually if they wildly overestimated that one. But the Forge World, no. Well, I say not usually. There are other box sets which they definitely sold out of in the first few seconds as well. 10th edition is going to be massive. They're going to sell out everywhere. Here is a public service announcement. Talk to your local Games Workshop or your local trader, your local gaming store person. Get very friendly with them. Make sure they hide you a box of whatever the box is. Because Games Workshop will run out. They will. They don't. It's rare of them to run out of a launch box. Like the Age of Darkness box for Horus Heresy, they didn't run out of. There's a bunch of other boxes they didn't run out of, but they did run out of the 8th edition launch box within a couple of days. It was back within 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. It was back very quickly, which is fair play, but they did run out because 8th edition was massive. Jungle is massive. What did one monkey say to the other monkey? Jungle is massive. Yeah. Just your average 40k painter. Evening, witness. Evening. Actually, didn't they say the new Horus Heresy roadmap was coming, or did I imagine that? I haven't heard that, but maybe they did. It tells us there are a lot of Tau players that need purging. Tau is one of those factions which is surprisingly popular. I noticed that in battle reports as well. All other things being even, if there's a Tau one, it tends to get quite a lot of views. Who knows? People who knew. People like Gundam. Plastic machines may well be busy printing 10th edition launch boxes, limited current releases. I imagine at this late in the game, they're all of them are done. They're done. They tend to print and pack, or they used to print and pack 2 to 3 months before release. When March, April, May, June. It's coming in June. Okay, so they're printing and releasing them now. So it's 2 to 3 months. That's when all the leaks suddenly explode, because there's some people who are content creators who know people who work like in the... when you know something's coming, that's people who actually work in the guts of it, handling the stuff. And that's when some of the leaks come out. When it's all above and people aren't actually handling stuff, that's when it's wider leaks and speculation and things like that. But there's too much noise coming from too many sources now. For example, the Lion. We all knew it was coming a long time before. Indominus was popular too, wasn't it? It was great value. Yeah, Indominus was amazing value. It was more than double the money off. So, for example, the Horus Heresy box set, Age of Darkness, you save about 250 quid. It's a very, very good value for money. Baron von Gasoline. Evening. You just started Iron Warriors just in time before I'm 30. Nice. Well, there you go. I'm 50 next month, so my sweet summer child, you have no idea. Chaplain Master Slapjack, leak video soon then. Yep, Slapjack, and is the videos just, he's good at them because he has accurate sources. And also he's a kid in the candy store. If you talk to him personally, and you can understand that wacky northern accent, and you can ignore the drool dripping out the side of his mouth, and those crazy eyes that look like Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon, like he's just about to stab someone, and the overabundance of smell. Not just smell, but a powerful tang in the air that will make your nose bleed. If you can get past all of that, you realise just how enthusiastic he is for the game. And don't look at his toes. If he ever takes his sandals off, just don't. Play Tau if you want to win. Play Tau is play Tau if you want to look. So Charles thinks play Tau if you want to win. Play Tau if you want a boring game. Play Tau if you want to lose friends. I'm not sure. Some people can play Tau. I mean, Sultan's very good at playing Tau the right way, I think, which is with crisis suits bouncing around all over the place, quite mobile. I know he didn't do it on the big 4,000 point and big 5,000 point games that I put up against him, but those are big 4,000 point and 5,000 point games where he had to score at the end. So in those cases, he just needed to stay back, saturate, bombard, move up afterwards, which is fine. That's what the Guard used to do back in the day as well. But if it isn't one of those game types like Tempest of War, Master of War moving around, then he actually does like mobile warfare very well, which is why it's got White Scars, Blood Angels, things like that. So Tau can be a very interesting way of playing, particularly if they have a massive bit of kryptonite hanging over them, which is they can't fight, they can't punch their way out of a paper bag. So they can be very good if they're played. They can be very good, I think. Where are we? Been actually playing Bad Moon Orcs in 500 point games and having loads of fun. Yeah, Bjorn. The boarding actions, highly recommended. Any skirmish games, things like that, highly recommended. Ike Mike, welcome to the 13th, tier 3. That's a South Park reference, I get that. Thank you for becoming a tier 3 channel member. That unlocks all the additional videos. And there's one that went up today, Emperor's Children versus Emperor's Children. There'll be another one on Tuesday. I've done 1,000 points or so is the most fun at 9th at the moment. 500 is great too, says Andrew. I do believe there's going to be a skirmish level type of game in the main rules in 10th edition. So there's going to be different ways to play, but there will be here's a skirmish thing. And I don't know if it would be combat patrol. I don't know if it would be boarding actions. I don't know if it would be something completely unique. But there will be, here's skirmish mid. And it does two things. One is, here's where you start, essentially. This is where you can start playing. But the other thing it does is, when you are having beer and you've got a couple of mates over, you can play 2, 3, 4 games of 500 points very quickly and get drunk. So everyone gets a game. So there's 3 of it. You can do 2 on 2, and then the loser sits out, and then you play another 500, another 500 point. 500 point skirmish level games is such a glaring omission in Warhammer 40k. We are all surprised when they came up with boarding actions and are making it work, because it's just the right thing to do, that you need that in there. How does little Timmy get to play the game? Here, little Timmy, here's 500 points. It's in that box. Take the box, play it, things like that. Yeah, done. Easy. What are your thoughts about running 2 Rogel Dawns? It won't be legal in competitive play, but in anything but competitive play, I'd run 3 of them, because the Primarchs run more. What has been the most difficult for army for you to master? Gregory Harrison asks. Most difficult army for me to master. That's a very interesting question. To master it, well, master, probably none of them. I wouldn't say I've mastered any of them. I mean, AdMech in 9th edition was stupid, and I never managed. I don't know. To master? Because that... if you ask what's the most difficult... anything in 9th, when you're asking what's the most difficult one to get your head around, essentially, and get better at... well, as I said earlier, there's 3 armies that I stopped playing in 9th, and that is Orcs, Custodes, and AdMech. So take your pick, one of them. Are you looking forward to New Angels of Death Origin animation this week? No. Is that on the Warhammer Minus thing that's going on? I'm not subscribed to Warhammer Minus. Drunk 40k, best 40k, exactly. I'm intrigued to see how they balance the combat patrol boxes against each other. Does it need balance at combat patrol level? Surely just a rough balance at 500 points. I mean, assuming the game is balanced at 1,000 points, 2,000 points, or roughly balanced at 1,000 points, 2,000 points, then it'd be roughly balanced at 500 points. No one's going to tournaments at 500 points. Mind you, there might be 500 points combat patrol boxes, 500 point tournament things against each other. So maybe they will really try and balance it. But do you need to make sure it's... What do you think, chat? Do you really need to... If the game is as suitably balanced as the game has always been, then at 500 points, it's for fun, right? 500 points is for fun, I think. Wolfbook Chronicles, Starler says, Grey Knights is the hardest to master. Grey Knights is up there as one of the hardest to master. I didn't drop Grey Knights either because I really like playing Grey Knights because they're active in every phase of the game. They have an active psychic phase, they have an active shooting phase, they have an active assault phase. They can actually move quite a long way as well by teleporting around all over the place or jump packs and things. So, yeah, Grey Knights is a good one to get your head around. How do you think Knights will work in 10th? Chaos Knights is so complicated it seems right now. I know, right? Knights used to be, people used to ask me, how do I get into the game? I'd say, get Knights. It's Chaos Knights, whatever Knights. Get Knights. You only need 3 or 4 models. You've got an army at 1,000 points or something. And you only need to know what you're doing with 3 or 4 models. It used to be my go-to answer, telling people how to start the game. And I know when you rock up to new people and like look at them going, oh, you got Knights. But if you explain at the start, like, I'm new, this is my only army, I'm trying to get into it, people are like, okay, cool, let's have a go. Yeah, the whole codex Chaos Knights, that's another one I stopped playing. Actually, a 4th one I haven't touched. I have not played Imperial Knights. Bear in mind, I've got Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights. I've got a small Chaos Knight army, but about 1,500. Got about 3,000 points of Imperial Knights. I didn't play either of them at all. I played against them, but I didn't play either of them at all when that codex came out because my brain. So how do I think they'll handle them? Better than they did before. I'm just interested to see how they changed the armies. I went to Leagues of Votan because I like dwarfs. But I think they're going to look completely different in 10th. They're not. The models will remain the same. They will add to the range, if anything. They never change. They very rarely change ranges. They will just add to them. The reason why that is because designing whole new models takes artists and designers, and then building the machine parts for them. And it's very expensive making plastic sprues. When you sell if you sold one plastic sprue, then that whole process probably cost you, I don't know, £10,000, £20,000, something. It's economies of scale, right? You don't want to sell one sprue, you want to sell 1 million of those sprues. So they're not going to change the models. I'm understanding that the datasheets will be simpler in the combat patrol boxes, so the balance will come from that. My understanding is the datasheets are going to be the same across the game types. And I think in competitive play, see, this is the thing, I keep saying competitive play rather than match play. I think in competitive play there might be additional bits, maybe, because there's a big difference between match play and competitive play. You can play all different types of match play, but competitive play, as someone who doesn't drink, what is the draw of mixing alcohol and Warhammer? No idea. I'm curious as to my great Devourers, so invested in lovely Nids, so I can't wait to see their changes. Hashtag Thrilled Lids. Nids. Thrilled Lids. Thrilled Nids are in 10th edition starter box. So excited we're getting so many new models. Hope for more Nid players. Go Nids. Exactly. Nids are cool. Nids are... See... It's nice that another major threat, hopefully it isn't just a one and done thing with the Tyranids, right? That the 4th massive fleet coming in from Segmentum Pacificus screws over lots of people, not just Imperial people. Because the galaxy... Have you noticed that all the big threats in the galaxy? Hey, the Necrons are waking up, the Imperium is screwed. Hey, the Tyranids are coming, the Imperium is screwed. Hey, this is happening, the Imperium is screwed. It's always the Imperium. What about Chaos? Why doesn't it screw... Why? If you look at the Necron map, you know, in the codexes, they put the maps of, like, the Orcs and where all the Orc wires are, and the Necron dynasties and where they all are. Where is my Necron book? It's in the other room. Damn. 2/3 of all the Necron dynasties are in Imperium Nihilus, which is really bad for Chaos, right? They're all in the... The chunk of them is in the galactic northeast. So they're more of a threat to Chaos than they are to Imperium, surely. But it's always, the Imperium screwed. Are you the only 40k player that does not own or play Space Marines? No, there's quite a few who refuse to play with power armor. I think there's 2 versions of the Termagant data sheet that got shown. Yes, there are. Why is that? And you suggest maybe there will be different scrolls for 500-point games. Yeah. Maybe there will be different scrolls for war scrolls for 500-point games. Maybe. That means there'll be 2 of everything online because it's all going to be free. Hey, if you're doing a 500-point game, download these ones. If you're not doing a 500-point game, use these ones. That will never get confusing, will it? Blood Angels can be learning curve too, making sure to use the best terrain before you get into melee and get... Yeah, everything's learning curve. Everything. Blood Angels are quite easy to play though. It's like go forward all the time, quickly, murder, death, kill. How hard can it be? Much like Warhammer Fantasy Battle, Chaos will win. Chaos always screw themselves. See, we've got debates. Some people think Chaos will win. Some people Chaos will screw themselves. If you are a Slaanesh worshipper, Chaos is definitely screwing itself. Nids fighting Nurgle to create plague Nids might be kind of cool. Mini Wargaming did a whole campaign of Tyranids infected with Nurgle. So Nurgle infected, and Mini Wargaming Matthew had about 4,000 points of painted, converted, and rotten high fleet stuff. And he sold that army actually about a year ago. Sold it all off. It was so yeah, check out the Mini Wargaming Vault, and that'll be on there from a couple of years ago. Orcs always win, of course. Warhammer Fantasy Battle, yes please. Can't wait for the Old World, yes. There's quite a bit of hype for the Old World as compared to Age of Sigmar, which is a terrible game, never play it. Charles and the Colonies here. Hivemind Swarm Lord for President. Yep. AAA, the old ones will return and cleanse everyone. The old... are they? The old one, they've had their time and they're very old. They went for a lie down. They're dead. They're not coming back, I don't think. Tabletop Chuck, hello from Texas. Hello, Texas. Land of the Big Sky. How many guns do you own? My friend actually bought that army. Had the pleasure of playing against it. Did you, Arnhem? Your friend bought the Nurgle Nids army? Fantastic. What actually happened to the Silent King? Kind of appeared, not much happened. Exactly. The return of the Silent King should have been the return of Horus for the Chaos dudes, the return of the Emperor of Man for the Imperium. The return of the Silent King should have been huge. This is a being that united the galaxy, defeated the Old Ones and the Star Gods. There's, as far as I'm aware, there's one species that won once. And that was the Necrons. The Eldar didn't cut it because right where they were at the pinnacle of their thing, the Imperium of Man was spread. Well, no, before the Imperium of Man, the Galactic Empire of Humanity was spreading across the stars around the same time that the Eldar were at their peak. So these two species must have touched tips while the Eldar were at their peak, but also well on the way to their depravity and excess and ruin. And Cormoral was a sprawling, massive city by then, and the Exodites had already buggered off. So there wasn't one species there that controlled everything that had won. The Necrons had won, and the Silent King had won. And his return, it should have been bigger than it was, but 9th edition was too busy trying to tell people that you have to play 40k this way, and if you don't, you're playing it the wrong way, which is bullshit. Time for the Lion to clean the galaxy. Is he going to cause more trouble than he started? Last time he was around, things got a bit dicey. You know, like the scattering of the legions, the breaking up of the legions. Guilliman, after the heresy, said, right, the Legion powers are a bit too much. What we're going to do is break them up into chapters, because if anyone controls a Legion anymore, it's a bit too much. Lion was already asleep by then, so he has no idea that his Legion got broken up. And all the other Primarchs went, yeah, okay. I mean, they were pissed off. Rogal Dawn especially pissed off, but they were like, okay, you got a point. Except for the Russ, who said, screw you, I'm going home. And he buggered off with his Space Wolves and said, no, I am not splitting my Legion whatsoever. You can do all that sort of stuff. And the Space Wolves never divided into legions or had successor chapters. The first Space Wolf successor chapters appeared because of the Indomitus Crusade and the Primaris gene seed. Now we have Primaris Space Wolf successor chapters that have never visited the rock, that have got the Canis Helix gene seed in them. So the line's going to be pissed to find out what Guilliman did. And yeah. Will you be adding a line to your Dark Angels? Yes. Was he not joking about the I don't know. Hi, thank you for clarifying. Okay. Exodites need to return and be the Wood Elves of 40k. Exodites are coming back in 10th edition. Confirmed. Line and Guilliman made up in the Ruinstorm, did they? Well, did you read that book, Ruinstorm? And Slaves to Darkness, those two books in the lead up to... Did they? I mean, Guilliman... The three of them did go on their epic space crusade from the west to the east through the Ruinstorm. Okay? The three brothers, side by side, the Angel, the Lion, and Guilliman. And they had to work together because when you tackle the Crystal Maze, you need to work together to overcome, to get the thing. So they kind of made up. But did they? I mean, I don't think... If someone dropped a nuclear bomb on my planet, I would probably be a bit upset too. Not that I have a planet, but if someone nuked like my backyard, it'd take ages to scrub that out. Andrew Garbutt, welcome to the 13th Tier 3, which unlocks all the extra videos and things. There's one that went up today, Emperor's Children on Emperor's Children, Horus Heresy Battle Report, and there'll be another one going up for members on Tuesday as well. Thank you to all the members who are currently in the chat. Thank you to all the likes and things. 80 likes, rookie numbers, pump them up, people. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, all that sort of shenanigans. Yes, but thank you to all of you and all of you being here. Imagine if the lion finally falls to chaos. It's not going to happen. We've got enough Chaos Primarchs. We need some good guy Primarchs. Baron von Gasoline. Question for the wise people of the chat. Are there any wise people in the chat? Anyone? Any advice on staying motivated when facing a wall of plastic? I bought 2,000 points of stuff and just started building. My advice is I only do what I want to do. So if I want to build some stuff, I'm building that. If I want to paint some stuff, I paint that. If I don't want to do anything and want to go and lay down naked in the yard, smothered in butter, and let all the local rats and all the pigeons come over, and the rats lick it all off of me, and the pigeons peck all the and let the animals do that, then do that if that's what you want to do. It's a hobby. The other thing that can help you is listening to battle reports when you are painting away some things. Audible also helps. So, for example, I don't really get any audible time unless I'm actually painting or doing something. So getting balls deep into a book can really help motivate as well. But if you don't feel it, don't do it, is my thing. That's how I do it. Where are we? I didn't know that the Primarch's age because the new Lion model, his face looks old. Yeah, he's been around for 10,000 years. He's aged a bit. Where are we? And Black Templars have some stipulation about being on a crusade so they don't conform to the codex either. Yeah, so what happened is they all got split up. But the Imperial Fist got split up, right? The Imperial Fist got split up and the second founding chapters were Crimson Fists, Black Templars, Imperial Fists. There were a couple of more. And the Black Templars went off on their crusade with Sigismund, like we're crusading ever on. And they said, we are not a chapter, we're a crusade. And they've been fighting the war. They're still fighting the Horus Heresy. They're fighting the war 10,000 years later. So they have many different crusading fleets, which means there's many numbers of them. And Guilliman went, all right, he had to, because Rogel Dawn was a bit pissed as well. I mean, Rogel Dawn was about to throw his toys out the pram and storm back to Fenris, just like that other puppy did. But he calmed down because Guilliman said, okay, those guys can, whatever. Yeah. Setting small milestones, smilestones help me feel motivated. Unit by unit. So advice on the Baron here. What was that? Remove Guilliman and Ultramar and the Imperium falls. Not really. It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that. If you remove them, then you'll still have everything else. Do Custodes age? No, they don't. Well, do they age? They're functionally immortal. So, Armor Kenner, have no idea whether that's English or not. AAA, if you're struggling to make an aim to do at least 5 minutes worth once a week. If you're struggling, make an aim to do at least 5 minutes worth once a week. Okay. Lionheart Jin. I'm sure I read somewhere that Custodes do not age, so I just assumed that Primarchs didn't either. See, the Primarchs is... Primarch's a bit weird though, isn't it? I mean, there's nothing else quite like them out there. Advice to the Baron. Join the Hobby Apocalypse. Exactly, the Baron. Become a Tier 3 channel member. Join the Hobby Apocalypse. And the Hobby Apocalypse has helped many, many people paint up armies over the last couple of years. We're on Hobby Apocalypse Season 3 now. And the goal in the Hobby Apocalypse is join my community on a shared journey where you collect, assemble and paint 250 points of miniatures a month, every month for 6 months. And you share that hobby journey with like-minded individuals in the Discord and share pics and tips and advice and things like that. And at the end of 6 months, you'll have a fully painted 1,500 point army. And there's an event at the end of it. And everyone has fun. And there's videos made about it and stuff and things. And as of the end of Season 2, I think it was 250,000 points. Over 250,000 points were painted by the end of Season 2. So, so proud of my community for doing that. That's awesome. Where are we? Custodes age, yeah. Once their reaction time goes down by, yeah. Custodes do age, actually, you're right, because you've got there's a type of Custodes who looks after the historical bits, and because they don't just fight all the time. Custodes will say, in the Watchers of the Throne book, the guy in there says, we're not just fighters, he's like a historian and philosopher. And he talks about we were his companions once, the Emperor's companions once. Art, poetry, this, that, the other. The Custodes were an example of what the best of humanity could be. And there is a faction of the Custodes that don't fight anymore, that either train or study or do this or do that because they've slowed down a tiny bit. I mean, even a stasis. So Guilliman, wrapped in stasis. The stasis chambers and stasis things do not stop time. They just slow it down to a very slow amount of time, because stopping time is impossible in the world of the 40. Which Discord? My Discord. Become a tier 2 channel member to get access to the Discord, and become tier 3 for £1 more and get access to my Discord and also all the videos and things. Share your hobby journey in the Hobby Apocalypse thread. It's jamming and jumping my Discord. It's going really well right now. I'm really pleased with you guys out there. It's a lively place to be. Yeah. Raid in the work wolf stuff for the wolf time. I don't think so. Wolf. Yeah. Hobby Apocalypse has helped me clear. Sullivan Gilbert. Hobby Apocalypse has helped me clear some minis which I owned unpainted for 30 years. So be prepared to be patient. There's wise words from Sullivan Gilbert, who is even older than me. I know. And he looks it too. Junkie Inc. Clothing presents. You will also still have plastic shame stack. It's just the way it works. Yeah, you do. You're going to have plastic pile of shame or plastic pile of opportunity. You will always have it. It's part of this hobby. If Russ took a swan dive into the warp, theoretically, he could come back barely aged at all. Yes. Or like with wiggly arms, like that. Stopping or even inversing time is possible if you're a cryptech. Yes, if you're a cryptech. I mean, Necrons, right, where science is indistinguishable from magic. My hobby journey started half a year ago. Got my first win a couple of weeks ago. Your channel is what made me decide to start. I love the battle reports. What do you mean you loved the battle reports? Don't you mean you love the battle reports, or is it actually you loved the battle reports, but it's not you, it's me. It's not you, it's the edition. It's not you, it's something else. Or you loved them and now you're like, you know, the honeymoon's over. It's just time to give up and put some slippers on and have a warm brandy. Games in the diary is my motivation, nothing like a deadline. That's a good deadline, actually. Games in the diary. There's a number of people, again, I know, and chat to and hobby and message, that one of their motivations is they try to always field painted armies. And it might be a basic painted job, but they always try and field painted armies. And so if they've got something coming up in a couple of weeks' time and they want to add a new unit, they've got to paint that new unit in order to play with that. So getting involved with a community or local gaming community that does play regularly or semi-regularly can also help with motivation as well. Yes. I love them, which is why I started. I still love them. Thank you, Brennan. Thank you. Lionheart Jim. Gilliman has the Emperor sword. The Lion has a shield. And I think Russ will be modelled with his spear the Emperor gave him. Yeah, he like tossed it away, didn't he? Hit the moon with it. Or after he's sticking it after sticking it in the Emperor's side. I don't think he's going to come back with the spear, to be fair. I think when the Lion comes back, he's going to come back with the coolest shit. They're going to try and make his model look as cool as possible. So they wanted the Lion to have a big sword and shield because he is the Knight of Caliban, and knights have swords and shields. I think the model comes first. I think the art comes first, and they'll write the lore around that. That's how it's always worked when it's come to modelling. Does Glimley still have the Emperor's axe? And my axe? Would I ever collect Space Wolves? Me? No. Not Space Wolves. Anything but Space Wolves. AAA, Winters, will you be painting the Lion and which head will you choose? I'm probably not going to paint the Lion. I painted Angron, and I'm really pleased with how he came out. Angron was a pleasure to stick together and a pleasure to paint. I highly recommend. 10 out of 10 would bang. The Lion involves edge highlighting, and I'm partially blind in one eye and my sight is getting even worse, so I can't really edge highlight anymore. I've got like these. I picked these up from Asda the other day, like for a couple of quid. So for when I'm painting, so I can actually see, but field of vision on no. So I don't think I'll paint him. I don't think I can paint him. Well, I can paint him, but he'll look right like all the Emperor's Children that I've done. What I've done is wash and dry brushed. I actually haven't edge highlighted anything. So it's all basic stuff and contrast, then a wash, and then highlight up from there with base colours and a bit of dry brushing because I can't edge highlight anymore. So I've given up. And if you're painting a model like the Lion, I'd like it to be beautiful. So I think I'm going to send the Lion away to Den of Imagination Painting Studios, the greatest painting studio in the solar system. Marius! Thank you for another donation. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Halfway through the silver cage in the member section, it was worth the membership price alone. Boom! Marius, you're my favourite member. I have a member right now, but you're my favourite member. Because the silver cage is glorious. There are 2 campaigns available for members in the membership, and it's Silver Cage and the Bell Tolls. And Wolfball Chronicles, who's in the chat, that stylus, he helped me make the silver cage, so I'm glad you really liked it. And also saying something like that will really piss Monkey off because he did the other. Anyway, the Space Wolves found one of the. Oh yeah, they found the spear, didn't they? Also, when did the Emperor use a shield? Can't remember reading any time he used one. Okay, Lionheart Jim. So there's a bit in No Fear where Thingy Bob, the red marked, is waiting for Gulliman, and he sat there because he's going to get told off. It's right at the start of the book. And they sit him outside, and he's looking around, and he's in this big hall outside of Gulliman's chamber, and there's a ton of weapons on the walls, and shields and guns and bullets and things and everywhere, and it's basically Lionel Johnson's personal museum / armory / look at all my stuff everywhere. and he picks one up and starts playing with it, and then Guilliman turns out, awkward moment ensues. Very funny, but it's all of Guilliman's stuff. Imagine the Emperor's stuff. He was active, let alone all the time before the Crusade, let alone all the time in the Unification Wars, or the previous 30,000 years before that. He was active for 190 years during the Great Crusade, leading from the front. He doesn't have a sword. The Emperor has everything. So, and it will be the same with the Primarch, as Guilliman was shown to have everything. So it might not necessarily be written in the lore that his favorite thing was this, or he used this, or he used that, or he used that. There is a very understandable... The Primarchs could turn up with anything they want. And they're like, oh yeah, he had this too. Because of course he has that too. The Emperor's got his own nunchucks. Okay, nunchuckers. And he's got his own BB guns. The Emperor's got a Nerf gun from M2, which is perfectly preserved in a stasis field. Look, this is the type of weaponry they used at the time. And occasionally he's run around the Imperial Palace with Malcador and they've been nerfing each other. You've got lols, take some time out, that sort of thing. This is the Emperor's Nerf gun. I mean, Space Marines in the Desolation Squads, they've got Nerf guns now. So where did they get their inspiration from? They probably had a look at the Emperor's Nerf gun. And that's how the Desolations Squads have got their Nerf guns. Winters is the best YouTube creator on YouTube, period. Charles, I like you very much. Thank you. Pushing for Winters to be a 40k chapter master of all of 40k. No, sounds like too much responsibility. Also, the permanent ruler of Games Workshop. Again, sounds like too much responsibility. But thank you for your vote. I'm more of an ideas kind of guy. Definitely not a ruler. They should release an Emperor model. A powerful psyker stuck to a chair and zero movement. Ha! They should release an Emperor's model. Why does every model have to have rules? I guess that's the Games Workshop thing. Every single model they've released has rules. But why can't they release an Emperor at Ulanor model? So this model doesn't come with any rules, but this is the Emperor while he was battling Zag Thingybob, that orc boss at Ulanor. Maybe not at Ulanor because Horus had to save him in that fight, but do a model of the Emperor. I mean, imagine if they released the Emperor of Mankind mini. Mind you, there's loads of different types. I mean, he could be a guy with a hood looking a bit like Obi-Wan when he appears as Revelation, because the Emperor appears however he needs to appear at the time. 30k Russ model has a sword and an axe. The Emperor's Swiss Army knife. Where are we? Some busts from Forge World. Yeah, I mean, there's some Emperors from dioramas. Yes. Do you think we'll see a World Eater's second phase of models? Do I think we'll see a World Eater's second phase of models? Yes, so Codex World Eaters came out recently for 40k. And Angron and the 8-bound and stuff. We're quietly confident that there will be a second wave of Votan models from all the rumours. They did it with Sisters. And I think they've done it with World Eaters as well. I'll be shocked if they haven't. How long we might have to wait for that to come? It seems like, because they did it with Votan, they did it with Sisters, they did it with... There's a couple that they did it with. And it seems to be more common than not that they do another wave. But sometimes the wave might... Mind you, having said that, Thousand Suns didn't get much of a muchness when their Ninth Ed Codex came out. Death Guard didn't get much more when they... I don't think they got anything new when their Ninth Ed Codex... They got a tree in the back when the Ninth Ed Codex came out. So the Death Guard haven't got it. Thousand Suns haven't got it. So World Eaters won't get it based on those other two. But I hope they did. I hope they designed more. I hope there's Khorne demonic engines for World Eaters. So pardon me. I hope that there is a fast attack slot for I mean, why is this the only guy on a doggo? Why can't we have units of doggos? This is the HQ, and then there are slightly smaller doggos with berserkers on top for fast attack choice. There seems to be some easy wins for Games Workshop to make more money there. Didn't they do it with Death Guard? No, they never did 1,000 Suns. Exactly. I want Red Butcher models and Juggernaut Cavalry. Exactly. What is wrong with Juggernaut? Imagine, yeah. And the next one they have, so they could release a plastic kit of a Tonk, and this Tonk comes in. Here's the World Eater Tonk of Doom version 1, and here's the World Eater Tonk of Doom Indominora, and the kit makes 2 different things with 2 different data sheets, and one has all the chargy forward choppy claws, and the other one has the more chargy forward shoe and choppy claws, and the one's called a Death Eater and the other one's called an Eater Death, and it comes in the same box. So there's 2 data sheets right there. They'll sell a load of them. And Khorne Juggernauts, they'll sell a load of them. And that's 2 kits, and they will sell a lot. And while you're at it, hashtag Chaos Lord with Jump Pack would be lovely. Bring back Juggers Crav. Exactly. Depends on how well they sold. Well, Votan sold like a brick, sinking to the bottom of the ocean, but there's a second lot of them coming around. Apparently Harlequins were going to have a second wave, but didn't sell enough to have the support. Yeah, Harlequins didn't sell very well because Harlequins are shit. Don't get them. They have pointy ears and they wear spandex. And whoever wears spandex in 40k should be shot. If they're changing up the morale phase, do you think factions like Ultramarines will have their leadership buff changed? I want to see a return of And They Shall Know No Fear. Re-roll leadership. That's what it was forever until 8th came round. New Chaos Biker, please. Exactly. I actually don't want Juggernaut Cavalry. What's wrong with you, Magos? Why didn't you want Juggernaut Cavalry? One guy on a demon feels more special. Berserker Bikers would be who he leads around. Well, Magos, you're just wrong. I mean, one guy on a demon can still feel special if he's on a big chunky demon. And there's... Why is this the only Juggernaut? Right? In the whole of the Chaos sub-factions right now, it is just this guy, Lord Invocatus, or the other Chaos Lord and the Juggernaut. That's it. Clearly, Juggernauts are a thing. Juggernauts are a thing in the Chaos Demons book. It doesn't make any narrative sense, doesn't make any lore sense, doesn't make any match play sense. Why this should be the 2 versions of this should be the only model ever available in the whole of the Chaos ever. There should be fast attacks of these. There used to be. Bring them back. They'll sell lots of models. You're just wrong. I'd love to see World Eaters ranged units. No, you're wrong too. They used to have them a long time ago. It would make the faction a bit more interesting. Yes, they used to have them when they were more of a legion. So the World Eaters, see, this is the thing about the World Eaters. They love 2 things. Well, they love killing, but they love charging forward, chopping people up with axes, blood for the blood god, all that stuff. But they also really like long-range firepower. So they're a really big fan of Land Raiders and Spartans because they're assault tanks and you can come charging out of them. And they have long-range guns. But they also really liked Whirlwinds, Predators, Cerberuses, Fellblades. They liked any type of tank that could crack open and destroy a target at range. So by the time they get over there, chop them up, blood for the blood god. They also used to like Devastators. There's quite a lot of lore about, I forget, there was a name for them as well in the Heresy. And there's a name in the Black Legion. World Eaters guys making blood for the blood god and blood flowing by firing missiles at range and just watching all the pretty colours. Like firing, you're a World Eater, like, and the targeting systems and the explosions and the limbs coming off. Imagine like the worst World War One, all quite on the Western Front, like World War One movie like that, and you're a Khorne Berserker and you see all the limbs blowing off and all the explosions and all the smoke and all the poison gas and all the fireworks. Blood for the blood god. They love that shit. They're father. So yeah, loads of long range fire, no mid range firepower. None of the bikes, none of the speeders, none of the vindicators, none of the anything in the mid. Hate that shit because by that time they're getting up to speed. So World Eaters in the lore love long range firepower and hacking people up. They love seeing stuff explode in the distance. Ooh, look at it go. And they love checking it. By the time the 41st millennium rolls around, assault tanks, it's still got Predators in their codex. So I take it back. Yeah, you're right. You're 100% right. Put some long-range firepower in there. Because in their codex it is Predators and Land Raiders and that's it. And that makes sense. That makes a lot of lore sense to me. Okay, so they still like long-range firepower according to the unit selection in the Warhammer 40k codex. But not, I mean, do Havocs work? Do Devastators work like they used to? Maybe not. But yeah, anything really long, anything 48 inches or more range, they're a big fan of. But anything within 40 inches or shorter, it's basically bolt pistols, because by that time they're running up to speed. Anyway. Teeth of Corn. I liked working with World Eaters. They match quite well. Oh, Iron Warriors liked working with World Eaters. They match quite well. Iron Warriors. Okay. I could go down that rabbit hole, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. My theory is Chaos might be split completely to make it work on the new 2-page rules, Night Lords, Black Legion, etc. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do Chaos and the sub-factions and things like that. I just assume that there's going to be a sub-faction page for all the sub-factions. And then the codexes aren't going to be codex anymore. They're going to be source books. This is what I would like to see. No codexes. All the rules free online. Including data sheets and the core rules and faction data sheets, all of them free online and in the app. So if you want access to the rules, you can get them for free or through the app. Or you could go to your Games Workshop store and they'll probably sell nice laminated cards with all the details pressed on them instead. So you don't have to scroll on your phone or print out pieces of paper. You could get the official cards, and they'll charge you £100 a card because it's Games Workshop for the official cards, and the whole internet will lose their shit, but you can have the official cards. But all the stuff is free unless you want to. And then the codexes are gone, and they're source books, and inside the source books are painting and lore and missions and history and shit like that. And if they did it that way, massive 2 thumbs up, making all your rules freely available to everyone all the time. But also, it solves all the rules creep problem, the codex creep problem. The how many factions are there in 40k? How do you do the sub-factions? Can I get an Iron Warriors card and an Exodites card and a Iron Hands card? Yeah, you can. You can get all the sub-factions because it doesn't matter how many sub-factions that there are because they're all free online. And then there'll be a source book, Space Marines. And then they can have sub-faction source. And the source book for Space Marines will be big and chonky in the size, and it'll be lovely, and it will smell so good. But there'll be sub-factions as well. And there'll be sub-faction Iron Warriors source book. Sub-faction Crimson Fist source book. And these they can drop out and drop out and drop out and drop out and drop out. And they could release, I mean, you could have Codex / source book Space Marines, source book Chaos Space Marines, source book Eldari, source book Chaos. And there is 5 or 6 big chonky tomes that are the fat source books. And that's it. Or 7 or 8. Not very many. But then, like the Black Library, they could have 50 sub-faction source books. Source book Alpha Legion. Source book Craftworld Votan. Source book Harlequins. Source book Bob. And they're just there. And you walk into a Games Workshop in the future and you've got the big chonking 5, 6, 7 core source books. And then there'll be shelves of all the other source books, which they won't need to update every 2 seconds every time they change the rules because they don't have any rules in them. Painting guides, history guides, mission packs, maybe some unique stuff in there which doesn't have any impact to the rest of the game, but some stuff in there. And that's it. And all the rules that you need are free online or in the app and in the app. And that would be an incredible move for Games Workshop to do it that way. Basically making all the rules for a game system for millions of people free is a brave decision. However, I think it is the right decision. It's so genius, I didn't think of it because I'm not a genius. But it's so genius that I can see it working. And all the people I spoke to are like, wow, that's amazing. All the codex script's gone. All the other things are gone. They can make some changes. It's like, I've got these data sheets. And then there's an update every couple of months saying, hey, check your data sheet. This update, we've scrapped these 3 data sheets have changed. Blade Guard Veterans have changed. Khorne Juggernaut has changed. And Leagues of Votan Bikers have changed. These 3 data sheets have changed. And then in 3 months' time, these 2 data sheets have changed. In 5 weeks' time, these data sheets. And they can just change them over time, and you just print out the most likely data sheet that you need at the time to do the thing, because it's free. Or change it in the app. And that gets rid of codex creep, and that gets rid of, well, it doesn't get rid of it, but that helps resolve so many of the problems with rules that we have all encountered over the last X number of years. You won't need the books anymore. But if you're a true Iron Warriors player, you will have the Iron Warriors source book. And they won't need to change that for 8 years. It'll be lovely. Anyway. Sourcebook, Khorne, Demonkin, bring them back properly. No dumb mandatory. So yeah, I mean the data sheets, no dumb mandatory Angron restriction. So the data sheets, the faction sheets, and the rules will be free. And then they can bring out a source book for Demonkin, or they can bring out a source book for World Eaters, or they can bring out as many source books as they want to. But there's no rules in them. I mean, that would be... It just fixes so many things, doesn't it? I don't think it would hurt to have the rules in the book as well, says Brennan Gum, for those who don't have a printer and don't want to... Yeah, exactly. So in the... No, I do think in the main rule book, they're obviously going to have some rules, because the main rules are going to be free online, but they will release a big core rule book, just like this one, with the rules in it. But inside will be different missions, different ways to play. But for those that don't have a printer and don't want to have their phone out the entire time, releasing codexes. Yeah, I think, well, what they'll do, what I think they would do if that's the case, this is all wishful thinking, pie in the sky. But what they could do is, because I don't want to have my phone out all the time, and I don't want to have pieces of paper around all the time, because you can imagine what it's going to be like here with all the armies that I own. I'll be drowning in paper. What I hope they'll do is have cards that you can buy from Games Workshop. So you'll have the normal data sheets for your entire army, but you could go to Games Workshop and click buy, and it's $2.99 for a pack of 5 cards, and or let's say it's, I don't know, X amount of money. You can buy the laminated cards from Games Workshop. So if you don't want to print it out, or you don't want to do that, you can just buy the card, or sets of cards, or packs of cards. I know the Maelstrom of War deck, or I hear that the Maelstrom of War deck is coming back. So if you want to play that for Space Marines or this or that or the other, you'll want the pack instead of the Tempest of War deck, which Tempest of War, you need 1 deck, and that works for 2 people. How do they make their money back? Because they're not selling codexes anymore. Instead of selling 1 deck for you that works for 2 people, and half of the community don't play the game anyway, is if you want to play Master of War and it would be really popular, here's one for Space Marines, here's one for Deathwing, here's one for Space Wolves, here's one for World Eaters, here's one for this, here's one, and it's a different deck for everyone who wants to play that version of the game. And they'll sell a generic deck as well, like they used to do. But they can sell those. But yeah, I mean, even if all their rules are free and the data sheets are free and online all the time and regularly updated and balanced and up to date, their entire thing is like, here you go, here's everything to you for free and with a regularly updated app. And we'll guarantee that there'll still be some people in this community that complain. But how many people will it get back in the game? At least 2, I think. Yeah, like how much? $2.99, $19.99 for some cards. Say, for example, they sold cards like that from Games Workshop and they were £1 each. And you had your Codex World Eaters and you really only own 7 data sheets anyway. You've got Angron, you've got this guy, that guy, and blah, blah, blah. Then you go along and you buy your 7. You can print them out. You can use them on your phone. You don't have to buy anything. It's free. But you can go along to your Games Workshop or click buy and stick it in your bundle and buy it from Element Games. And then, and it costs £1 each. And they'll send you a nice laminated card with it on for £1. And maybe these go out of fashion every 2 or 3 months or every 2 or 3 years or whenever they need to update them. But if you want to hold it in your hand, you can hold it in your hand. And yes, it won't be £1. Yes, it'll be £20 per card. It's Games Workshop. But I think that's one way that they could do it. Prediction for Terminator set. You're fearing it's going to be £45. Yeah, I think they're going to sell. I think I can confirm that they're going to sell Terminators in individual sprues, one Terminator at a time, and each Terminator isn't going to be £45. No. Each Terminator will only be £499.99 each, and so you can get a whole set for at least £78,000. Yeah, an app isn't as good as a book or having cards, but have you considered getting a dedicated iPad? Because that's how I've been using my... Yeah, I think if it all goes digital and it is all in the pads and it's all in PDFs and all in stuff like that, the wife's got a pad. I think I'll be stealing that. But no, again, I'm no good with tech. In the middle of filming something, I'll press something somewhere and scrolling this way and scrolling that way. I'm no good. I will screw something up. So if it was me, what I have got a printer sat there, and which is never full of ink, but I would print out all the data sheets that I need and put them to one side, and all the data sheets I need for the other army. That's how I would do it. So when I'm about to rock up next door and play a game or film a game or whatever I'm doing, and I've picked my list, and there's 8 things in the list, I'll find the 8 pieces of printed paper and I'll bring them with me. Done. Maybe a nice binder, ring binder with some rings, 1 ring to rule them all. Winters, are you going to Warhammer Fest? No, I'd rather suck my nuts. I love the way new Terminators look, which is not too different to the old ones. I think the design has just stood the test. I know, right? The new Terminator design is cool, which is the 3rd Terminator design. It's cool. I use my work iPad for that more than work. I don't know why I said it that way, Rick, but yeah. If you ever end up using a tablet, pad, Kindle, whatever, get yourself a cheap stand. I've got a Kindle for reading things. Still like physical books. I like physical books. I'm not saying they're getting rid of physical books. There will still be a codex/source book, but hopefully it's got 0 rules in it. And hopefully, because it's a codex/rulebook, instead of this Dark Angels book, which has, for example, I grabbed the first thing. It has, after the introduction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14... 17 pages of narrative, that's it. Instead of 17 pages of narrative, we get 70 pages of narrative and painting guides and sub-factions and mission packs and it is 3 times as thick. And it lasts 8 years instead of 2. And it'll be the source book for Dark Angels, and you could not say that you were a Dark Angels fan without getting the source book. Because it'll be so cool. You'll want to have it. I don't think books are going anywhere. They make too much money, right? Any hopes for Death Guard intense? No hopes whatsoever, Liam T. No, they're going to be terrible. Double the points. Disgustingly resilience gone. And they lose access to all their tanks. They're just going to be a foot-only army. It's terrible. I might buy some paint. Where are we? Battlescribe, yeah, Battlescribe is the thing. Question, which company is doing digital tools, rules access that Games Workshop could copy their notes from? You're asking the wrong guy. I'm fully on board with digital rules and physical law art books. It'd be amazing. Exactly, Toxic Hobbit UK, Toxic. You know what I'm talking about. You got to think about it. Imagine that all these books, I mean, I don't know anyone Has anyone out there got the Age of Darkness rulebook? Have you seen the lore in here? It is, dude, it is banging. Top tier, bruv. Top tier, bruv. Know what I mean? The lore in here, in the timeline of the heresy. I've shown you guys this before, but I'm gonna. There's a bit on every single Primarch. At least a couple of pages on every single Primarch. Thousand Suns, thousands. Every single one is covered. Even the marks of armor are covered in here. This book is amazing for lore. Cut half of that out. Give us that. I would buy it. 10 out of 10 would bang. You guys, anyone who's interested in the heresy at all, get that book. Privateer Press doing digital rules and that for it. Yeah, exactly. Other people have been doing it soon. Privateer Press, and you've also got Dungeons and Dragons. The whole IP debacle is how I know about them, which has been resolved now, but they basically, it was free for anyone to use, right? Yeah, bruv. Exactly. It'd be nice if every codex had the core rules in it. It's not going to be that, bruv. It's going to be the core rules will be free. And there'll be no rules in the codexes. Hopefully no rules in the codexes. Where are we? Thank you. Heresy is getting me back into the game. 40k just doesn't appeal to me as a game anymore. Horus Heresy is an objectively better game than Warhammer 40k 9th edition. I like very much playing Warhammer 40k. I like it very much. I enjoy spending time on the war-torn battlefields of the 41st millennium, be it in a book or a video game or an audible or on the tabletop or just painting. I enjoy spending my time there. It's so grimdark, it's so big, it's such a sandpit for the imagination. You can play around however you want to play around. Fucking love it. Horus Heresy is just a better game system. Are the Liber Astartes and Liber Hereticus as good as the Horus Heresy book for lore art? No. They're good. They're just to that standard. But there's more lore. See, the thing about these is, regardless of whether you get Liber Astartes or Liber Hereticus, the first... 1 minute. That much of the book, that bit there, that I'm holding on to, that is exactly the same in the Astartes or Hereticus book. Because that section is all your weapon options, all the unit options, all the, data sheets, things like that. Rights of war. Weapons. So a third of this book is the same, regardless of whether you get Liber Astartes or Liber Hereticus, because the options that you have, if you're a traitor or a loyalist, you have the same base options. The same base options are there for everyone. One legion might prefer jet bikes. I'm looking at you, White Scars, to another legion. But it doesn't mean that the other legion doesn't have jet bikes. So everyone's got access to all the same shit. And then when you get to the stuff at the end, it'll have all the legion stuff in it. And the legion stuff in it is very, very rule centric. So there isn't much. This book contains about 1 or 2% lore. This is not a lore book. This is about how to build your legion. And yeah, like I said, the first third is generic. The second 2/3 is all the legion specific stuff. There's 9 codexes in here. So yeah, this is about how you build your army. This is the lore and how you play the game. But the lore section in here is really good. Really good. Feshman, welcome to the 13th, Tier 2. Thank you so much. That gives you access to my Discord, where you can join in with all the chatter and things. If you would like access to all the additional videos that I make as well, then that's Tier 3. Any hopes of more Titanicus stuff coming, more campaigns and lore? No. The Liber Astartes is a beautiful book and loads of options for bespoking your army. Was very impressed, worth the money. Yeah, if you're going to play the game, you're going to need one of the books or the other books. They are banging. I'm hoping for a lot of wins so I can buy it all. Rumours are that Epic Horus Heresy is coming out later this year. You reckon? Is there? Toxic Hobbit UK? They're going to launch Titanicus Epic in the same year as 10th Ed. That would be a massive mistake. A massive mistake. They should wait at least a year. As I said at the top of the screen, they'll fuck something up. Something in the 10th edition launch will be fucked up. Run out of stuff here, there and everywhere. There'll be something in that rulebook that they'll fuck up. Or what they'll do is there'll be something post-launch. Like they had the indexes at 8th edition and they were perfect. And then they released the new codexes too soon off the back of that before anyone had their feet under the table. And then they rushed all the codexes out in about 18 months. Maybe 2 years. And everyone was like, what the fuck? The ground had barely stopped moving. And there was 2 months of 8th edition, which is pinnacle Warhammer 40k. 2 months where everyone had the 8th edition rulebook, everyone had their codex, and that was it. And then 2 months after the last codex, they released Psychic Awakening, and then Vigilus shit, and then the Octarius War, and then all that other crap, and then it went, and then it was 9th, and then it was COVID, and then it didn't stop, and here we are. Their tagline, more Warhammer, more often. It sounds good to shareholders, right? But people actually in the hobby, more Warhammer, more often, what they need to do is put 40k, get it going, reset at 10th, and then leave it the fuck alone for about a year, and then go and fuck around with Sigmar and Old World and other things. Don't touch anything to do with 40k unless it's Necromunda or something like that. And then after a year, they can start doing things like Titanicus or Kill Team or something. But yeah, more Warhammer more often is fine if they equally divided their time amongst their equal game systems rather than just kept pouring it on us all the time, because the community, it's a slow burn, right? You've got to collect, you've got to establish, you've got to paint. It's a slow burn. You can't just, it's not like picking up a video game and playing it straight away. No, keep buying it. I want my shares to go up. Okay. It's a 3-year cycle for this stuff. I know, but it didn't used to be. There was a 5-year gap between 5th and 6th, or 4th and 5th. There was a 5-year gap. It doesn't have to be a 3-year cycle. It doesn't need to be a 3-year cycle. The problem is that their release schedule is just way too fast. I know, that's what I just said. I'd love it if there were more of really little updates. I think the Armies Renown are a great example. You don't need to give the sure, more little updates here or there is fine. See, this is a line. There's a big conversation to be had about that as well. 10th Ed, then leave alone, then reboot Dark Future, and I'll be happy. Yeah, too fast, too slow. What do you want? What? It's not what I want. I'm talking about the community. What would I want? As a 40k content creator and owner of about 14, 15 armies, who does play competitive play and open play and narrative play and Horus Heresy, what I'd like is more. Personally, you're asking me what I would like. I mean, one of my gripes about Horus Heresy is they haven't released enough minis for me to get my hands on straight away, but I have a lot of time. I would like more stuff more often, personally, and because I have the time to keep up with it as a full-time content creator. This is my job. But I am very aware, that is my opinion, I'm very aware that for the health of the hobby, the general feel is, I'm in touch, guys. I'm in touch with you out there. I have you talking to me right now. I have you in my Discords telling me things, that people come here all the time. I go to events and stuff. I'm aware of what the hubbub is. And out there, what people want is a more accessible edition with everything available for them to play and no earthquakes. So here's the edition, here's the stuff you need, and no San Andreas fault. Don't fuck with it for a period of time. Just let it settle for a period of time. That's what the majority, not everyone, exceptions to every rule. There's a bell curve, right? There's people at this extreme who go, nah, and there's people at this extreme who goes, nah, but the pinnacle, the bell curve, most people here are like, give me a game that I can play that's accessible, that I can play with relative ease, and don't change it so that when I buy my codex and I buy Dark Angels, I love Dark Angels, and then they play it, and then they go away, and then they paint, and they add some stuff, and they do some stuff, and then they come back in 9 months' time to play their game against their mate, and they haven't played it in 9 months, and this is no longer relevant, and there's 3 more things that have come out, and this has happened over there, and this has happened there, and they have no fucking clue of where they are or what they're doing. You need the ground to settle for longer periods of time for the community as a whole. The complexity and the speed and the changes and that sort of stuff, and the keep in touch, the DLC model, the quick patch model, the Call of Duty Fortnite model, the competitive model, the I can't have fun unless I'm making my opponent cry model, that model, they can keep that ticking over and ticking over and ticking over and ticking over and ticking over at that end in a certain mission pack, competitive mission pack. But that is the tip of the iceberg. The other, that is the 100,000 people who probably play competitive 40k to 50,000 people. I mean, the numbers are probably smaller than that in the UK. They all know each other. I bumped into a bunch of them. The vast majority of people under the iceberg don't want to be fucked with. So I'm trying to, my opinion be damned. It's not my opinion about what I want. I'm trying to shout out loudly with this tiny voice that I have for the good of the community, hoping that someone somewhere at Games Workshop listens. Where are we? Yeah, slow it down. If less or no people bought the update, I think they'd slow down. Yeah. There's business model won't allow for stagnation. I'm not saying stagnation. Got to keep that growth. You can keep that growth, particularly if all the rules and all the data sheets are free and online. They could drop some more minis and more minis and more minis. And so what happens is I play this and and then I get back into it in 7 months' time, but the rules are still the same. My army is still the same, but maybe a couple of models have been released that I'm very excited about because I could buy some more stuff, and all the other stuff that's happening in the background doesn't affect me because I don't need to know what a balanced data slate is. I don't need to know what fucking Pariah Nexus, I can't find it, Pariah Nexus or Arcs of Nephilim or Omen of fucking, you don't need to know any of that shit to enjoy the game. That is the other end. You just need this and then and that. They can have both, not one or the other. I want a decent 10th ed that supports casual players and rogue traders, video game. Okay. Do you think that Space Marine Codex should be like Liber Astartes, all chapters in one book? No. I think all the rules should be free online or on their app all the time. And I think the Codex should be a source book with 0 rules. What are your hopes for terrain? The rules as written are now just too much. I know. People often ask, what is the thing on the back of my door printed out? Those are the terrain rules. The terrain rules, there are a couple of things broken about this edition. One is Look Out Sir. I'd fix that. One is, core rules wise. There's loads of things broken when it comes to codexes. But core rules wise, there's a couple of things broken. Look Out Sir is one of them. Actions is another. And terrain is another. Terrain is bad. I would have dense cover. I'd have the difference between cover and concealment. These are military terms. There's a difference between cover and concealment. So you can be in cover and concealed, or you can just be in cover, or you can just be concealed. Ghillie suit. Concealment grants -1 to hit. Cover grants +1 armor save. And have a list of the things that grant this and grant that. And in order to have it, you need to be in the area terrain, not touching it. Hey, look, I'm touching that, so I'm in it. That is not in it. If I'm touching my garage, I'm not in my garage, tournament players. If I'm in my garage, half in, then at least I'm in. So if you're in it, you get bonuses for cover or concealment. If you're not in it, you don't get bonuses for cover or concealment. When it comes to walls and barricades and things like that, then if you are within an inch, make it simple. Within, not 2 inches, if you're within it. You could do what Horus Heresy does, actually. I mean, I haven't obviously thought this through, which is if you're behind, Horus Heresy says, I'm shooting at a unit there. They don't have to be within an inch of a barricade. So there's a barricade. My microphone's a barricade, right? They don't have to be within an inch to get cover from this shots. So look, they could be a mile away. But if this unit is shooting at this unit and there is a barricade in the way, when you get down and have a look at line of sight, then they'll get a increased cover save because some of the shots might hit the barricade. There's a much more simplified system they can do. All terrain slows movement down by -2. So yeah, cover, concealment, slowing terrain, impassable terrain, and that could be stuff that you can't literally, like a big rock face is impassable, closed buildings impassable. There's ways to do it. There's ways to make it much easier. But it is wordsmithed in such a way so there aren't any. Phil Kelly had this great quote once, and I should have saved it. And for those that don't know, Phil Kelly is a long-term rules writer for Games Workshop. And he said he didn't write something, oh, God, my brain. Something like along the lines of he didn't write rules for the wordsmiths, for the rulesmiths. I don't write rules for those people who want to go down into the meaning of words and the meaning of sentence structure and did he mean. He doesn't write words with a rules lawyer kind of precision. This was his quote. Because I don't write rules for arseholes. There was a rule in the Warhammer 40k book, which was in there. Was it in 8th? It was definitely not in 9th, but was it in the 8th and earlier, or was it only in 7th and earlier? And the rule was this. If you and your opponent disagreed on a rule, roll a dice, and the winner of the roll-off, that's the interpretation of the rule. And it was a rule in the book to clarify rules interpretations. When you try and write rules with forensic precision, as they have with the Genestealer cult's crossfire rules, and as they have with some other rules here or there, what they end up doing is just driving people out of the hobby because it's like it's written like lawyer speak badly, and it doesn't make any more sense. Here's a rule. If you're within an inch of a barricade, you get +1 to your armor save. Yeah, but what about if I'm getting shot? No. If you're within an inch of a barricade from the point of view of the firer, then you're getting plus. You can make it very simple. If you can't explain a rule in 2 sentences, this is another thing as well. You should be able to explain a rule and clarify in the second sentence. If you can't explain it in 2 sentences, then don't make it a rule. A good example is, I want this unit to have bonuses to shoot at that unit. So you can write loads of rules to say, if this unit stays still, it can fire with its rapid fire weapons at other units. And too many sentences. What you're really trying to do, what is the aim? You're trying to make sure that this unit can fire at that unit under. So what you do is you write it in a way, in 2 sentences. If this unit stands still, it gets +1 ballistic skill. Make it like that. Or if this unit moves at half speed, it can reroll hit rolls of 1. Or models in this unit equipped with heavy weapons get. If you can't write the rule in 2 sentences, then it shouldn't be a rule. Get rid of that fucking rule. Change it completely. There are ways of writing rules to bring about what you want to bring about simply. The problem with rules writers is they love their rules and they love writing more and more and more and more and more rules. I'm definitely getting drunk now. I take massive exception with that. Yeah. If Privateer Press can do it, I'm sure Games Workshop could hire some decent rules writers. Exactly. If it can't be written in two rules, 2 sentences, it's not a rule. Make another one. Here's what that rule is in bullet points. I know, right? The codex, the clarification bits. Here's a good example. You know the main rules have got these bits here which clarify, you know, the bullet point stuff and the bullet point stuff. This shouldn't be there. That should be the rule. And if you can't write those rules without saying that, then change those rules. So you can. And it doesn't make the game less complicated. You're bringing across the rule in a different way, or you're anyway. GSC seem to be barely used with those messy rules, which is a pity, as I think they're really fun models. Yeah, I know there's some people who like Genestealer cults a lot. It's in the 9th edition rulebook too. Most important rule. Oh, so it's in the 9th edition rule. Okay, cool. The problem is the rules don't exist in isolation. A good rule can be written in 2 sentences, but when 20 other rules are also at play, a demand for grotesque lawyer specifically emerges. I know. Okay. I'll give you another example. The Genestealer cult's crossfire rule. I held up the codex on stream and said, I'm not reviewing this book, not on stream, but I'm not reviewing this book and here's why. And then went on an 8-minute rant about why I'm not reviewing Genestealer cults. Because I get the book and I flick through. So this is what happens when they send me a book. They'll send me a book and the first thing I'll do, honestly, the first thing I do is go to the bit that I want to go to. So sometimes it might be the models. Sometimes it might be, oh shit, let's see how that changed. When the World Eaters Codex came out, it was like, quick, Angron. The first thing I opened up was, Angron, what can he do? So you go to the bit that you're really keen to do, yeah? Boom, 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 boom. Genestealer cult. Wasn't really keen for any of it because Genestealer cult, you know? It takes a special mushroom. So I flick through it. This is what happens 50% of the time. I flick through it, have a look here, have a look there. And within a few minutes, I'd flick through to the faction-specific stuff and said, what's this crossfire thing? And I read the crossfire thing and I stopped. And then immediately thought about how can I express this? Am I going to read it? And within a short period of time, I made a video saying, I'm not going to review this book and here's why. And I read out the crossfire mechanic in total. I ranted a bit, put it down, went away. And half the internet flamed me and half the internet loved me. Or said, thank you, Games Workshop, are you hearing that? The crossfire mechanic rule, this is what I mean by say you don't need all the things, and you talk about 20 other rules are also into play, which demand a grotesque lawyers and 28 interactions. The whole of the crossfire mechanic is basically, underneath is Genestealer cults shoot at units better when units are caught in a crossfire. Right? And sometimes they remove cover, and sometimes this, and sometimes all the layers of rule in the Genestealer cult's crossfire. Yes? Custodes, Martial Catans, GSE, Crossfire, Chaos Knights, Dread Auras, and everything AdMech is a total nightmare and isolation. Yeah, exactly. The impression that they're trying to get across with Genestealer cults is Genestealer cult's thing is is the perfect ambush, and if they catch you in a crossfire, they hit you better. Here's an easier way of writing that rule. And I'm making this up, so bear with me. If a unit has been targeted by... If a Genestealer cult unit targets a unit that has already been hit by another Genestealer cult's attacks, that unit gets +1 to hit. Maybe that's a bit too strong. If you shoot at a unit that has been targeted by a previous Genestealer cult shooting attack or hit by a previous, then that unit gets reroll hit rolls of 1. Anyway, off the top of my head, I'd need to figure out to word it and make it as simple as I can. Crossfire, but it does the same thing. More than one unit shoots at a thing, gives a bonus to the second unit. So they're ducking and covering from the first unit, and the second unit is like, oh no, it caught in a crossfire! And then that's exactly the noise they make as well. Simple. That's gets over the same. Anyway, that's what I would do. But rules writers really, really like writing rules. In fact, they like writing rules so much they're paid to do it. And the more rules they write, the more paid. I don't know. The hardest thing to do when you're a rules writer is not write a rule. It's like telling a painter not to paint, or a author not to author. I'm a rules writer. How many rules did you write in the last week? 0. That's a good... Anyway. Curzon, welcome to 13th Tier 3. Thank you for coming Tier 3 channel member. I very much appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. It could have been like judgment tokens. Yeah, that's another way you could have done it. Genestealer cult target a unit. They put a token on that unit. Here, and then the rule could say, if you shoot at a unit with a token on it, you get +1 ballistic skill. I don't know. There's loads of ways you could have done it. When firing in a unit that has already been hit by a Genestealer cult unit, this turn gain +1. Boom. The rules writers do work for Games Workshop, though, so they probably don't get paid at all that well for their work. Yeah, Magos, they probably get paid fuck all. But their managers and people who run the rules writing department, top of their list should be never introduce, do everything you can to make the rules as simple as you can. And it reminds me again of that really good Tesla quote, which is the best part is no part. The best part is 0 parts. You got to try and take it out. What pisses me off the most about 10th edition, I literally just bought my 9th edition rulebook 3 weeks ago. It still has that new book smell. Oh, man. Yeah, I feel for you, bro. But it's all going to be free, so... Hello, Winters, you bloody legend. How's the game these days? Haven't watched you in ages. 10th out yet? No, 2 months. 2 months. It'll be there. Play as much as you can until then. Yeah. Change crossfire to perfect ambush. When a unit arrives from reserve, it has +1 to hit that turn. Yeah, that's another way to do it, actually. If a unit arrives from reserve, it has +1 to hit. They've said 1 in, 1 out, which I don't believe. They get paid in packing chips. No, they get paid fuck all money, but they do get 40% off RRP on Games Workshop stuff, so they get loads of cheap stuff, and they rely on fans being their core work base. I think, which is yeah, maybe, I don't know. This is all the stuff that I've heard. When you target an enemy unit with a ranged attack, if you can draw a straight between this unit and another unit, that shot at the target this turn passes over the target you get. See, I don't even know what he's saying there, Nick V. Like how when Jinx provided an invulnerable save to flyers when shot at by subsequent attackers, crossfire provides a ballistic skill bonus. Crossfire is that's what I said. Crossfire is a way of hitting stuff better if more than one unit shoots at a thing. There is a way of having more than one unit shoot at a thing and hit at it better than their crossfire mechanic bullshit rule. That's the same for a lot of companies that have big followings. People work for less if they can work on their hobby. Yeah. Monkey fact Mondays. Preach, brother. Niche question. What rules would you like to see for Iron Warriors? I've never thought... I don't know. I would have to have a look in the Iron Warriors. So, shrapnel rounds are a thing in Horus Heresy, which cause pinning, and being able to hurt vehicles, dreadnoughts, automata, or buildings better in Heresy. So there's ways that you can roll that over into 40k, so you can have pinning bolter weaponry and heavy bolter weaponry, and there's lots of bolter weaponries that you can put in on the ability to pin units in place, but I don't know how they're going to do morale. Would be nice, because that's the suppression fire, the iron fire. That's definitely an Iron Warriors thing. Keep people in their foxholes. And also being able to hurt anything that's not infantry. Well, monsters, beasts, vehicles, better. Seems very Iron Warriors to me. Speaking of writers, Matt Ward did nothing wrong. He was a great writer and doesn't deserve the reputation. I quite liked. I didn't have a problem with Matt Ward. I don't know why the internet was shitting themselves about. I know the Drago thing, but I do like a bit of Bolt Upon. I do like a bit of Hero Hammer, and I liked Matt Ward codexes. I did like Grey Knight 5th edition codex. I thought it was epic. And the fact that Drago turned up and he was the only toughness 5 marine, and there was no such thing as toughness 5 marines, and then he went back to toughness 4, and the next time we saw toughness 5 marines was Gravis. Drago was a G, yo. Other free rules confirmed is actually free, or they tied somehow to something like Warhammer Plus. Games Workshop have lied to me before. No, they're going to cost £1,000 each, or free, if you subscribe to Warhammer Minus. What one model do you hope they redo with a new model in 10th? Surely you're hyped for NIDS. I would really like to see a World Eaters 2.0 codex and a World Eaters and a Votan 2.0 codex. That would get me more hyped. Seeing expansions to those codexes. Tyranids, Shrikes, Doom and Malantai, those sorts of things. They could have some really cool looking Tyranids, but Tyranids don't... I feel the gaps. There's a gap. I feel where the gaps are and would like to see them fleshed out. So those two that I mentioned, Exodites are a thing that they're just going to drop. I know what it is. Plastic super heavy tank for Space Marines. They need to make a plastic super heavy tank for Space Marines, and there's 3 different data sheets with 3 different things. They will sell 1 million of them. Plastic super heavy Space Marine tanks. Yes, that's what I'm most excited to see. Anyway, I have been on for some time. I was only going to jump on for a bit. It is now 10:30. So I feel like I'm drunk and I'm getting carried away and quite ranty. And you don't want to see me in full rant. I will rant. So I don't want to rant anymore. So we'll start wrapping this up. I'll answer a few more questions. Okay? And then I'll drag the bodies, bury them under the patio, put the concrete on top, and we'll walk away. Any ideas or predictions on the price of 10th? $1 million. The Failbladers have gone from Forge World. I know. So, has it? Has it gone from Forge World? Yeah, they need, like, the Baneblade costs 90 quid, and there's, like, 3 different versions in it. Imagine if Space Marines could buy a plastic tank and it was 90 quid and there were 3 different versions of it. And it would work in Heresy and it would work in 40k as well. They just sell a lot of those. And there's a datasheet for it, and it's in the book. So you get codex, like... No, we'll do it in this one. So it's my Dark Angels book, and in my Dark Angels book there are all my options, and at the back there's a picture of it. Yeah, anyway, they'll make a lot of fucking money. Where are we? Winters might not agree with this, but by God, do Eldar need new models? No, fuck Eldar. Their time has come. The galaxy is over. No, their time in the galaxy is over. Screw those guys. I'm going home. Too much for me, man. Keep fighting the... Okay, whatever. Awesome as ever. Rants of fun. No. What's your favourite beer snack? Beer snack? I do like a mouthful of nuts. Somewhat like Archer. Begin the rant page. Mastodon has gone from Forge World as well. Ooh. Imagine a plastic Mastodon. Ooh. I don't know if they... Could they do it in plastic? I bet they could. Here's a guess. A guess. Everything that's in this book, in the core section, is coming out in plastic. And the Mastodon is in the core section. That means plastic Xiphon interceptors, plastic storm speeders, land speeders, plastic Mastodon, plastic Cerberus super heavy tank, plastic. There's everything in the core section is coming out in plastic, which means there'll be Legends choices or Imperial Armor choices for all the 40k players. That would be... They would make bank, yo. More stuff that works differently. Okay, all right, you lovely boy. Thank you. Yeah, Mastodon. Yeah, dry or salty? Just salty nuts. Obviously, if you're drinking beer, you want a mouthful of salty nuts. I had to pay James March of War to build my Mastodon. Yeah, man. That Mastodon. The Mastodon, the Thunderhawk gunship kit. Mind you, the Fire Eagle, the Storm Eagle and the Fire Raptor gunships are terrible. Anything with resin long flat sides, like Mastodon, and they are a ball ache to make in resin. Plastic Cerberus Knights waiting for the new release. Oh, what's your favourite Crusade book? And are you psyched for Crusade 2.0? No. Crusade is a big pile of pants. They need to change it all. One handful of two of salty nuts. Well, you only need one hand. You only need two fingers when you got your hands on someone's salty nuts. Anyway, I am peacing out, bros, because I'm quite drunk now, and I've got one more beer, and it's 10:30, and I want to go and chill out and eat a penguin. Don't we like penguins? I like penguins. Is it 10:30? Jesus, where's the time? Where are you? There's the time. Yes, and I'm ranting away, and it's been fun. I knew I had a window this evening to slot in with you guys, and I'm pleased that I did. I might be able to find a window on Thursday night late and say hello to American land, but next week is a bit chocker, so I might not be about, which is why I come on, and I'm trying to come on more for you guys in the evenings and things. So thank you, Sanguinary Guard. You were here for the entire stream this time. Well done, mate. And Weeb and Feshmon, Simply Warhammer, I talked about you earlier. Rick Curtis and Marius Gage. And thank you for the new members, the 8 new members this evening, and the chat revenue. Thank you so much for supporting me and the channel and listening to me rant and get slowly drunker and drunker online. It's been emotional. I'm looking forward to 10th edition. I am looking forward to it. I'm quite G'd about it. The more noise I hear about it, the better I feel. Right? Is that what we're thinking? I think that's what we're thinking. There's a lot of people who are interested in restarting and getting back into the hobby for 10th edition as well, which will just energize the community. I really feel that Games Workshop are going to fuck it up by rushing too much too soon after 10th edition. Like, they're going to drop this and drop this and drop this. They're not going to let the water lie for a bit. They're going to keep churning it, which is how they fucked up 8th into 9th. But there we go. Hopefully there'll be enough different ways to play the core book. Hopefully it won't all be just match play, competitive play. There'll be that way to play, but there'll be other ways to play, like the Skirmish way to play, Maelstrom way to play. There'll be a couple of other ways to play. So all the people who want to get the patches and the DLC and the data sheets and all that and all that crap, they can rush and get they can have their tweaked competitive version of the game as tweaked as they want to be. And I was one of those persons, and I might be one of those persons again in 10th edition. Dip into that and focus on it to such a degree to get really good and win a trophy. But I don't feel like I need to do that because I've already won one. Anyway. I mean, you can't be a legend twice, right? Once you're a legend, you're a legend. Thank you, Mac Dixon, for your donation. I appreciate you. I'm already a legend. I think I'm a legend. Am I a legend? Are you a legend? Be a legend. Be nice. Be generous. Be kind. Be grateful. And, as E.T. once said, be good. Happy wargaming.